Peace, peace. Happy now. Now's the vibrate, of course. We're not going too far in the future. We're not going too far in the past. Right now, I want to break down some of these tactics that the elite, you know, elite. These people who's trying to oppress the masses, they have certain tactics, that they use in order to, do this. And matter of fact, before going into it, my vibe, I start to see the the accuracy with my vibe of like, because I was always coming from a place of just saying don't overly pay attention to certain things externally. That wasn't from a place of, and I understand why people was coming at me, the way they were was like, oh, so you saying to be in denial and ignore everything? Because again, they were familiar with that new age little tactic. So, and again, I fell under that umbrella, because matter of fact, that's the only reason why, again, like made that apology video was more so because I did videos that may have come off as that, but I always, knew what was going on. Like my inner source always knew to not, that's why like as much as I would like, notice like, well, it was like hedging my bets where I would be like, I wouldn't support or talk about guns on that level, but it's like, hey, Crystal, like you gotta protect yourself in some man. You know what I'm saying? Like I never was, uh, blinded by it enough to just fully, throw the baby out with the bathwater type of vibe. But we're gonna get into, certain little situations. And also with dealing with some of this info, I realized that some people that's giving out info, like it's different levels to, to the different, again, soul signatures and uniqueness to different souls on this physical experience. And some of us are more clairvoyant than others, so some of us are going to have a less logical approach. And in essence, that's what's better for us, Some people that's not as clairvoyant, you know, it would be better for them to, find a more book evidence and stuff like that, compared to where like people who are like, psychic slash clairvoyant, in essence, you hindering yourself by trying to, because here it is where basically you're gonna give off a vibe of like second guessing and deterring your intuition, where your intuition gonna kind of let you know something, but then you're gonna like try to back it up with a lot of physical evidence. And not saying that you shouldn't, but in a lot of cases, sometimes we'll mess up our intuition by doing so. And and that's the whole thing, because when I come across videos, like I think about like the way Mark Passio speaks on information, I'm like, he's also speaking from a place of, not dealing with clairvoyancy in essence, and the fact of the matter that does exist. But also I realized too, though, that vibe, and again, how to each his own, like we got different people to speak from, for like almost for like a representative, you know. So like me speaking from a place of, dealing with this information, but from a more clairvoyant perspective, you know, because honestly, now is one of the better times to be dealing with, again, with that inner guidance, that heart chakra, that intuitive, going with the flow of the heart vibes, and it's not to be, again, it's a balanced place. We're not all the way right brain and just all the way just going with the flow of the emotions. Yes, we are using logic, but again, it's that heart chakra, the heart chakra balance, having, oh, that's what I was gonna say, having more of that discernment with intuition and with feeling, because again, the information is only gonna get, again, we're gonna speak on that because it's about like piping information, like pushing information, like they flooding. They know that everybody's kind of, again, they played their little test. Like, let me see if they're gonna bite on the new age movement. All right, a lot of them did. Let's start piping information in. Again, like I use the analogy of like one of the Star Wars movies where the brethren from the dark side, to get the Jedi's in his trap, he started piping information, so even though, again, he was the evildoer, the bad guy in the movie, and, And of course, most bad guys don't want to let the good guy again. The you know, the good guys know where they at, but in the movie, he piping information like, oh yeah, such and such gonna be over here. Oh yeah, this and that. But it's coming to the Jedis as if they getting like little plugs of information, like, oh yeah, we just got insight on this, this and that, not knowing that that information was being piped to them purposely to set them up to bring them into a trap. As a matter of fact, I think that's like one of the last Star Wars movies before they started doing the new ones. I think, because my brother was telling me about that's how they the Sith Lord or whoever that pulled in Darth Vader. That's how he was trying to get Luke Skywalker too, because he was like, shit, instead of killing Luke, I'd rather have him on our side, to work for us, instead of, and you'll see that too, like some people, that may be trolling out here, stuff like that. In some cases, will probably rather have you on their team than just trying to do away with you in essence. But again, that piping information, putting it out there. As a matter of fact, we're about to get into that. But yeah, so starting with one of their tactics, opposition by default. So what they're trying to create is such a situation where people out there and just opposing by default, like where they want to paint themselves to be the type of people like, all right, well, let's create the type of image that'll make people just say we're monsters without acknowledging information, and of course, like, say for instance, we know they fucking monsters, we know what they doing, we know all this, but at the same time, we don't want to be in a place of just pointing a finger just to point the finger, because it like, again, it does have a certain level of because you wouldn't want nobody pointing the finger at you just being able, because that card could be reversed on you. You know what I'm saying? If you just like this and that without without acknowledging some type of information, because then on the flip side, the government or whoever could be like, oh, well, you doing this and that, and there's no evidence, they could flip that card on you. But to make, basically, they trying to make you look stupid, because my brethren brought up an example of like where they was showing like shooting something into space, with NASA. So the opposition by default, a good example of that is like where NASA would show something, and then all of us be like, oh, fuck that shit fake. Remember Operation Paperclip, all that shit. And it's like, hold on now, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. This information comes with some truth, you know what I'm saying? So, they're gonna have some, like, of course they made to confuse the fuck out of things, but it's gonna have some truths that they're talking about. And they're creating such a situation where here it is, where you're gonna be like, oh man, all that shit fake, this and that, and then they'll be able to prove or say like, well, this part, not fake, this and that, and then it'll make you end up looking bad as a person who deal with information, because it's like, all right, you just head first on the, oh yeah, they all wrong, this is all, you know what I'm saying? Now again, this is a how can I say, unique grounds, because a lot of us are very clairvoyant, and we know things without evidence, and this is a fact, you know what I'm saying? Again, like when we come across people and we know they're lying, is there physical evidence to show us that they're lying? No, you know what I'm saying? There's physical evidence for us to show other people like, bro, we know they lying, you know what I'm saying? No, you know what I'm saying? So again, that's where things get a little, tricky in essence when we exposing these certain situations, when we exposing it on the platform to a certain extent, we gotta, discuss like, all right, well, hey, I'm speaking from a place of, clairvoyant inner gnosis, and, I'm putting this out here, but it's more as a theory with other evidence, and I can't, but not just slamming a hammer down on it just for the how can I say, for political correctness, but in which in a lot of cases, fuck being politically correct in a lot of cases, because again, You know, we know what we know in a lot of cases, but also not being lost in the sauce with that, because, you know, I found myself, you know, especially like with the Capricornish vibe, you know, slash Sag of, you know, a certain confidence about your knowing, you know what I'm saying? But that could also, you know, get too blinded where you're like, oh yeah, I know everything, you know what I'm saying? Like, not that I know everything or even feeling like I know everything, but you could just kind of get blinded of not checking your own, you know, intuition in essence. It's like, you know, just make sure you checking and making sure that, you know, you're really feeling this vibe and that's really coming from your intuition, and, you know, you're not just in the vibe of being falling under that opposition by default of like, oh, that's NASA, that gotta be, they lying, they lying, they lying. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, you know, you gotta be careful with the way, you know, we turn into opposition by default, you know. Because matter of fact, they done flipped that on us, like opposition by default, where everybody just, oh, they put Bill Cosby in the news. Oh, well, he gotta did it. He did it. He did it. He did it. He did it. Like, wait, hold on, man. We know what kind of beast we dealing with, man. We don't watch them deal with Michael Jackson, Tupac. Matter of fact, shout out to Uncle Luke for being somebody that should be acknowledged in Black history, quote unquote Black history, but like on our little human experience, man, as far as standing up for freedom of speech. And of course, I'm this is not from the, you know, the lyrical choices of, you know, not degrading women or stuff like that, but I do understand though there's a place and time for, you know, certain little vibes that we were dealing with, you know, uh, and at that time, you know, like say for instance, as melanated people, we like our sex, you know what I'm saying? We think about Luke, me so horny and stuff like that. Now, of course, we thought of the woman in a more, you know, derogatory manner, you know. Of course, we're not in support of that energy, but again, us going, but just like with anything, we don't get mad at ourselves, you know, like I don't get mad at my past self for things that may have not, you know, been beneficial to my growth. I'm like, hey, I was going through it, I was doing the best I was at that time, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, with all these vibes, you know, the Michael Jacksons, the Tupac, like, well, if you're not doing what they do, a scandal coming out, you know, Eddie Murphy slow down with his vibes, and oh, he dealing with a transvestite, like, no, this and that, you know what I'm saying? Like, even down, it ain't just no it ain't just the melanated stars either, you know. If some of European or whoever, you know, start to keep it real, you know, Saint Bruce Lee, like it, all people who kept it 100, you know what I'm saying? They all got you know, they all been came at in some way, form, or fashion, you know. But again, like, they create a certain situation to just be opposition by default, you know. Again, they playing a little chess game, you know, of putting stuff out there, you know, and oh man, don't believe that, don't believe that. And then we come off as a person, you know, to discredit, because here it is, where we only going off of the fact that, like, well, yeah, you know, that's Operation Paperclip, you know, they be lying. But, you know, with whatever they present, you know, we don't know how much of it is true, how much of it is fake. You know what I'm saying? Like, it may have a certain level of truth in it, you know. So again, like that, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater type of vibe. And that's what that opposition by default tries to create, you know. Because again, as savage as they may be, you know, they are playing intellectual just enough to make you look bad, you know, because that's how they play the little game on like Fox News and CNN when they invite people, you know. They savage with it, but they try to act intellectual just enough to make you look bad, because they understand that the masses still don't understand what they doing. So it's like they still could, you know, manipulate things to make themselves seem like they're smart and making you seem dumb or something like that, you know. So you want to be aware of that vibration. Now bringing up and which these, you'll start to see that some of this is like interchangeable, because like say in the next bullet point, old topics, you know. But old topics also could go along with piping as well, you know, piping information. But old topics, you know, bringing up flat earth, you know, the flat earth is round, you know what I'm saying? Let y'all play with that while we do what we do, you know. Or the moon landing. That's why again with me, it's like put the information out there, but, you know, like did enough of the research to put a nice strong video out there on it, and then, you know, leave it alone. Like, you know, I no longer tapped in on the little flat earth or whatever kind of gave my lesson, and because again, and that's why I having our intuition strong and tapping into our inner voices, like one of the first and foremost thing, you know, like programming our subconscious, connecting with our higher self in such a manner where when these certain little tactics come at us, we could feel our inner source say, nah, that's some bullshit, you know, don't fall for, you know what I'm saying. And just at the beginning of my spiritual growth, because when I got myself at my cleanest, which like, so like health wise, all this, you know, just, and I could admit, yeah, it was far, you know, into, like, it was less logical, far into the more right brain energy, but, you know, I was open to, like, I was an open channel, so the information that was coming through, you know, was very strong and intuitive, you know. But like I think about like something like a moon landing as well, like that's something that I felt like different subjects. I just felt like, nah, that's just getting us to try to pay attention to something else. Because, you know, remember, you know, we in essence just wake it. Like there's so many layers of information of how our body works. Like it's still so many, you know, meditation techniques that are unlearned, you know, and continue to go unlearned if we chasing around some little, like, let me chase this, you know what I'm saying? So again, when I be talking about them vibes of ignoring certain things, I don't mean like just completely ignore and turn the other cheek. But again, like you don't want to be giving these things too much of your attention as well, you know, as far as like, of course, like if you energy that's obligated to work in that area, as far as like exposing that area, that's cool, that's different. But like, again, like there's a certain level of dealing with our own inner work that's there for us to do, you know. Of course we want, because again, it's like, of course you want to have awareness that, you know, hey, the alligators come out of that water at night, or the bears do this over here, but it's not like I'm gonna sit there like, all right, now I'm gonna constantly work. Like, all right, no, I know what's up, so I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do with the knowledge of, all right, let me not slip up by this water, let me not go by these bears, but let me still focus on what I gotta do. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the, you know, again, like all this stuff just be little stuff to have you like, oh, over here, and then again have you on some opposition by default, because that could fall into the flat earth, by all the earth flat earth, that they lying, this and that, NASA, opposition by default, making you now, you know, again look back in the essence of you just opposing by default, and they could say, you see, look, they just saying that we lying just because they don't, you know, this and that, and parts of this is true, you know what I'm saying? So here it is, you could, in essence, discredit yourself, you know, through that. So again, you want to be aware of that vibration. Now this one is more of a terminology they use, and also speaking of this, you know, and I got this information from a little insider, you know, from a brethren, talking to somebody who, you know, just like with any little vibes, you know, they got little moles and people, you know, speak on it. And two, again with this vibe, you know, it's just like a serial killer vibe. Some people out there like, hey, this is how we fucking over you, you know. But anyway, a terminology uses VSD, the virtual sandbox data, you know, because another thing they do, they don't fall into the same word magic that they putting on everybody. So say for instance, instead of saying the internet, you know, they're gonna say virtual sandbox data, and just for a little possibility of that, this word or terminology, like say for instance, it's possible that my brethren who got this information, like the brethren speaking to him, could have been trying to throw him off a little bit, but even in that, like, you know, they still do something. Like intuitively, I'm being told right now that, you know, again, that's why I'm saying it like this, like, well, regardless if the name is virtual sandbox data or the virtual grass yard data, you know, whatever, but they, instead of using the terminology internet, you know, they use different terminologies. So again, just also showing again how they create certain word magic, but then they ain't playing in that pile of dust, you know. Matter of fact, somewhat like how Brother Panic spoke of like how sometimes, you know, like or like with like gods changing their names and changing their energy. So you going to deal with like a certain deity or energy, you know what I'm saying, with a certain name, but that's kind of like dealing with their old energy, like they done switch it up because their older name has been like, you know, uh, soiled in essence, you know what I'm saying? And that's kind of like the same perspective what they use. And again, like they don't use that internet word when they talking about it because it brings off that same little being trapped in the matrix vibe, you know. But a virtual sandbox there, you know, just like a little sandbox, you know, like we all play in it, you know, the internet like a little sandbox, you know, so we could see what so and so was playing at. Cause look at shovel and spoon still right there, shovel spoon, you know, shovel and bucket or whatever, you know. We, you know, we leave the information in the sandbox, you know what I'm saying? But you know, like a little, like a big ass sandbox that we all be playing in. But that's what they you know, the terminology they use for that situation. Now another so the next bullet part, which again not going deep into that one, but just to share on that level, piping social media. You know, not piping in general is something they doing, you know, just all over. But again, they know what time it is. So say for instance, like they piping, like I wasn't using this word, and you see, just using the terminologies. But piping is basically like when I speak on like how Netflix is starting to get like TV, you know, that's piping. You know, like so basically they like, all right, they not watching TV again. They watching the numbers. They keeping the books on you. You know, they keeping the statistics, and they like, oh no, they ain't. You know, they ain't vibing with TV no more. So we gotta start piping social media. We gotta start piping Netflix. We gotta start piping Hulu. You know, again, it's just playing. You know, and they been social engineering everybody to, you know, go with the flow so they could have it. You know, set up in these little areas. And again, this is not about us overworrying ourselves about this. Again, I'm just bringing this up to the light to acknowledge this because this video can help us be aware, like, you know, of the different people around us that may be trying, you know, different little bullshit. Because again, as much as we are positive on our spiritual path, you know, there are, you know, negativity exists. And to a certain extent, you know, when you of a certain level of light, you know, certain beings that don't want light on this planet want to combat against you, you know? And that's just, you know, again, not sitting around focusing on no negativity and waiting for something to happen, but again, just awareness of what's going on around me, you know. But hyping social media, you know, so different little stories, all these different little memes, you know, like almost like literally like meme magic, you know, but putting out these little memes and little certain little information in certain areas to have everybody just, oh, you know, and next thing you know, that's like the hot topic, like, you know, and the hashtag vibe is, you know, something that they put out there again, like to talk about the moon land, and everybody like, oh, they went to the moon, or they didn't. I mean, again, it's almost like the flat earth, round earth thing. It's like jail is jail, whether that motherfucker round or flat. Now, of course, understanding that, of course, because speaking on Nikola Tesla technology, you know, knowing like what type of, you know, the knowledge of the way the realm is shaped, you know, and formed or whatever, that would give knowledge to how energy is used properly, you know. But again, if we're not working in that particular area, you know, to actually do some Nikola Tesla work, then that information is just, again, relevant and steering you away from dealing with your chakra work, and also more so activating the ego, because the ego is always trying to be right or wrong about a situation. So most people, when they dealing with that flat earth, round earth shit, is like, oh, it's got to be this, it got to be that, instead of like falling into like a light discussion, which you started to see, though, some brothers and sisters start becoming aware of like the little side to have everybody fussing about it, and where it kind of pulled back off of a debating vibe, and, you know, just kind of like, you know, discussions, like trying to, you know, bring together instead of like trying to tear each other down. Because again, that's all it. Because why are you fussing about that? you're not doing the little inner work, or you're not working on some ritualistic magic, because that's what they constantly doing. Like the Jesuits, you know, the shadow government constantly got somebody brewing up some shit. Remember, Ronald Reagan and Nancy Reagan had astrologers and astronomers working for them. You know what I'm saying? This is what we dealing with. You know what I'm saying? Like they know the science and using it. You know, we got to be on the same thing. That's the same thing with holidays and why they are holidays, because there's a certain energy about that time, and they know that, so they trying to have you in the store fucking shopping while they doing ritual, you know what I'm saying, and fucking clean over you. And now it's time for us to really, really recognize this and not, you know, now is the vibrate, now is the time, you know. Matter of fact, shout out to it was Red Pill or Blue Pill talking about they actually met Nancy Reagan astrologer out in LA, you know, which I was out in LA. I didn't I come across some motherfucker, but I ain't come across them. But again, you see the whole little that whole little vibe with piping information again, you know, putting the certain information out there to have you squabbling over some shit that ain't gonna really help your spiritual soul ascension, you know. Again, we gotta realize again, like we're not trying to focus, because there is a certain level of focusing on something or fearing something will manifest it, you know, but it is a certain level of just awareness. Like we gotta be aware that this is the tactics they're using, you know what I'm saying? Like, but without just overly focusing on it, you know. But again, the piping. Now this one, I done talked about this in the New Age Gnosis video, but suppressing the sacred masculine. You know, they trying to create the soy boy, like, you know the soy in every fucking thing, like to the point, and that's how you know the real like healthy food or you know what I'm saying, that really don't want you to get sick, you know, from that shit. That's like, hey, we ain't got no soy in here. You know, we're not trying to turn your little boy into a little girl. To each his own on everybody's sexual orientation, or however you feel about that, you know. But again, just bringing up awareness of what they're trying to do to us. So again, you know, because that masculine energy is what protects the home, you know. It's what protects, you know, the God in essence, you know. And I just say like the woman is the own, because, you know, man and woman, we all are personification of source. But again, like, you know, the womb, like the portal that allows for life to enter into this realm, you know what I'm saying, you know, it's protected by this masculine energy, you know what I'm saying, as above so below, you know, in essence, you know, like the physical aspects, you know, protecting the metaphysical aspect, you know, the unseen. But they're trying to suppress the sacred masculine. So anything, you know, like say for instance, I came across certain people in Venice in the Abbot Kinney area, you know, like, you know, grown men hugging and kissing each other in the neck, you know, and again using that as the love from the New Age movie, you know what I'm saying? Again, catching that. It's like, oh man, love. Like, nah, that ain't love. Y'all kissing each other in the neck because y'all trying to promote a certain little vibe. Like, you know, like say for instance, do I have to go and kiss every man that I know? Do I have to, when me and my uncle give each other dap, does it mean that I don't love my uncle if I don't kiss him in the neck? You know what I'm saying? Like, well, you know, that didn't mean true love. Or you don't really, really love your uncle unless you kiss him in the neck. Like, you know, like, nah, you know, and you start to see again these little subtleties, you know. Again, you know, matter of fact, little Arrowin area in Venice Beach, Abbot Kinney, all these different areas. And to each his own. I'm not talking about, you know, shout out to the real ones from Venice Beach and, you know, that area, you know. And fuck the fake ones. With love, but again though, we like not giving love or energy, you know, like I'm unconditional love, but not like sending any type of vibe, like fuck anything or anything that's trying to harm your soul, you know. We shouldn't be like, thank you. Now of course, on a level of the higher level, again, so get that straight, because I caught that, you know, of course, we're thankful for all the contrast in our experience, you know what I'm saying? The pressure that makes a diamond. But at the same time, on the, with being in this physical realm and having discernment, I'm not gonna just be happy-go-lucky around people who that I know for a fact were trying to socially program me and fuck up my, my soul ascension in my spirit. You know what I'm saying? Basically, try to keep me in the matrix. Like that's a serious offense right there. I'm not gonna really want to go back around and people and smile. Of course, again, on a higher level, I recognize that's the contrast that I asked for in my experience in order to go through through a certain growth and experience. But that's not something for me to, again, on that human aspect. But again, on a higher level, yes. So as I'm saying that too, because they're trying to get you to get in a place of getting to not say, again, nothing wrong with anger, channeling in the right place, and being mad at something if something causes you, but trying to have you to a place of like just all the way in that mad, like feeling like, oh, and where you forgetting that, hey, I am a soul on a human experience that set up a bunch of contrasts for myself. Like I set up my so and so, and I say set up somebody because that's not necessarily part of your own doing, but like, because I was thinking about somebody transitioning, but more so like I'm gonna go down here and I'm gonna be a hard-headed person so I could learn this lesson through this. So I'm gonna go down here and be a person that's more right brain, and then I'm gonna have lessons that's gonna teach me how to balance things. You know what I'm saying? Like, but we put the contrast in our place in order to learn from it. Because again, if everything was so perfect and we had the knowledge of source and knowing everything as it is, then what would we even be doing? It wouldn't even be no experience. We could be like, source, you could beam me back up. Like, what the fuck I'm doing down here? I know everything. Everybody looks the same as me. Matter of fact, we all on the intercom at the same time, like, cause we all the same, look the same, walk the same, talk the same, have all the same knowledge. Like, like what is the experience then? If like how could we be friends? Like, if you don't, like, whoa, look at so and so, man, they tell jokes. I can't tell jokes like that, but they funny. Compared to like, oh, that person just like me. That person just like me. That person just like me. That person just. So, what would be the uniqueness of a friendship if we all, were the same? It wouldn't be no uniqueness in it. It'd be like being on a date or having a partner would be like dating yourself and marrying yourself. Dealing with a friend would be like dealing with yourself. It wouldn't be, So again, we are grateful for the contrast. The pressure that makes a diamond. The diamond wouldn't be able to be a diamond without that pressure. That's part of our physical experience. But again, they definitely suppressing the sacred masculine. That's why soy is in everything. That's why every chance they get in a movie, they trying to demasculinize a man. Like my brother was telling me, like how the sex scenes on Empire, the gay sex scenes, like they extend them, longer, again, and that's where it's fucked up. And two, divide and conquer is another part, which is not a bullet point, but this is one of the things they do too. Because here it is, well, it's a fact that they are pushing this homosexual agenda, but then again, if we not letting go of our ego, so if I'm in my ego delivering this information, then I would deliver it in a manner that would be bashing homosexuals and not just the act of like what the government doing. But if I was to do that, then I would create a divide where now me, again, with the heterosexual people and the homosexual people like battling it out. So while they fighting, the government like, let's implement Plan B now. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta have awareness of this. So again, and that's why it's so real about us, getting to a certain place of unconditional love and releasing our ego to realize, like, like regardless of somebody's sexual orientation, if that's what they, deal with, they like. And two, we are, how could I say, like, we not casualties because we here, but like to a certain extent, like casualties of warfare. You know what I'm saying? Like all that fetal estrogen, like because remember we are indigenous beings that existed without any of this foolishness. You know what I'm saying? So without a European school system trying to brainwash us, without vaccines, fetal estrogen being pumped in all the food, like so like with like which some people claim. I'm not trying to fuss on yeah or nay on that, with the homosexuality, how long it been around or this and that. But again, a lot of it comes from, these chemicals, proven, facts, that again, the rate of children being born in like, ways that, weren't normal to the past started happening when all these different, elements, these unnatural elements started getting added to foods and, our ways of doing things, I mean, starting from the beginning of time, that's what the founding, hurry up and call myself, the first little robbers and thieves to come here and establish their government, aka, like the George Washingtons and stuff like that. They wearing little, you pay attention to their pictures, they got a little hill, they got like a little hill on their shoes, like they kind of like for their little heels to be a little higher. They all wearing wigs, their little pants a little tight, like embracing that feminine energy on that level, and promoting it, But again, trying to suppress the sacred masculine, and also one of the last little bit point, allowing everything to happen. Like, so that's kind of going back to that denial vibe, like trying to get everybody to put their head in the sand, like, oh, part of spirituality is not looking at the negative. You don't want to look at that. Don't worry about the government trying to push this agenda on you. And again, that's why I say it's a blended line, like with what I'm, like with what I'm saying now. Like, of course, again, you don't want to be overly paying attention to it, but you definitely do not want to be ignoring the facts of what's going on, in this physical realm around you, Because as we speaking up on it, and again, a lot of us do articulate ourselves very well, where, by us speaking on it on certain levels, we would help give a lot of people aha moments of like, oh, all right, damn, I do see that. And the more people we get aware of this, the less they could pull this shit, because again, they running statistics every day. They right now they got some type of something on the ESPN or some sporting event or something going down to where they trying to see where everybody at mentally, like, they know we've been trying to demasculinize them. They starting to pull back off of their herb smoke a little bit, because that's why they legalizing herb. Matter of fact, go check out my video about dystopia. Matter of fact, any and all my videos about, just type in universal frequencies and dystopia or universal frequencies in Hollywood. What else? Tavistock Institute, LSD, CIA. Any of these, the subject matters is going to, point to this. But again, allowing everything to happen, they're trying to get you into this place of just, oh, well, that's just like, and I remember, again, certain little points of contradiction, dealing with somebody back in LA, and what's crazy too, and I spoke on this in my video, where like, after I had an acid trip that exposed all the agents in the Venice area to me, I actually was telling those people straight up, like, hey, my acid trip exposed you as an agent to me. like, what's funny, that's that old Sag energy of just like, I just gotta keep it all the way, like, past it, like, and two, though, that's the level of our soul, though, like, it's like no ego, like fuck this in this moment, like this is what it is, motherfucker. I just realized you're a fucking agent and been, you know, playing games. And his approach was like, you know, but honestly I did it more so like, oh yeah, I even had a vision in my trip that you were, you know what I'm saying? I ain't for that but the other people, two people, I told them like straight up, like, bro, like, y'all probably agents and come off as, you know, my trip showed me that, you know, that whole Abbott Kinnard, that, because it's a whole gentrified area, you know, even down to possibly that the little times on Abbott Kinnard may be, and again, because you can't incriminate people without, you know, without quote unquote evidence in essence. So again, I can, you know, I'm not showing any paperwork or anything, so can't just like hit the gavel and say this is this. But again, just, you know, because, you know, and a lot of y'all who watch my channel, y'all probably might frequent, you know, LA and the Venice area, you know, again, you'll see things. And again, because also, too, what's fire about this, the more we bring up the awareness, the less these people are able to pull these little snake tactics in public, you know, because also, you know, say for instance, they trying to pull some of this little shit in public, you know, when more of the public is knowledgeable about it, they could feel when people around them looking at them and knowing they pulling some shit or this and that, and that allow for them to, you know, either one or two things, where they just have to really expose what the fuck they are, just back off, you know what I'm saying? Or play the game all the way fake and really try to help you in the case of not being found out. But, you know, yeah, you definitely, oh yeah, so back with allowing things to happen, because one person, again, how I spoke about somebody riding a bike all the time in the Venice area, you know, giving out hugs. You know, what she said a lot of suspect things, you know, looking back at it. But one of the things too though was like, well, yeah, this shit, you know, you just gotta go with the flow, like almost like, oh yeah, it's just fate, like, you know, almost like as if, why are we even talking here? This is all fate. Like, and I'm like, and he would always try to get me to agree with it, you know, and I noticed that. It's like he wouldn't stop kind of speaking on it or talking on it unless he got like a vibe from it, as if I was like agreeing with the subject matter. And again, I was catching that, you know. I'm like, as a matter of fact, that's again, y'all, seeing the importance of having our spiritual connection with our intuition, higher self, spirit guides, like having that strong ass clarity of intuition is very, very key on our group, you know. I wouldn't have, and which of course, I'm saying I wouldn't have made it without, but I know everything, you know, my higher self had that all set up for a reason, and you know, it was a lesson, you know. But again, like that vibe, they're trying to push it, just go with the flow, you know, allow everything to happen. You know, and it's like, nah, you know, we gotta use our you know, it's a balance of, again, because that allowing everything to happen, that's us, again, that over meditative, overly right brain of just like, no lie, like, let's just float around, you know. It's like, nah, it's a level of, you know, of course, connecting with that feminine, connecting, you know, meditating, clearing that mind, but then it's also taking action as well, you know. It's not just sitting back, you know. It's like, because matter of fact, as much as I know that I should be taking you know, more action in my, you know, with dealing with myself, you know. But say, for instance, it's not like I'm just like floating around like, oh, well, I'm not even gonna do the video, you know, like I'm gonna just send this message out telepathically to everybody, you know. It's like, because of course everybody does have telepathy, and we do have a collective. But again, there's level, again, not just black and white and just looking at it like, oh, well, everybody got telepathy. But no, there's levels to it, you know what I'm saying? When I send that out, everybody may not catch the message clearly or whatever the case may be. So again, you know, it's different aspects. And again, this information comes with truth. You know, it is a certain level. Oh, now this something though I gotta share with y'all though, because I see that they're trying to throw off. Like, there's a certain level of us maintaining our vibration. You know, because I see that. again, you don't want to be ignoring the negative or running away from, your shadow self, things of this nature. Uh, but speaking on uh, maintaining a certain level of a high vibration within your body, because it's a fact that again, now this is me watching my own walk and things around me, that maintaining your vibration to a certain level, you are like walking Wi-Fi. Because one of the other tactics is to get you in such a vibration that you lower yours. Matter of fact, that's why some of them may come at you in a manner to make you mad or angry. And again, like you in a vibration that lowers yourself, you know what I'm saying? Like not being able to help. And say, for instance, again, ain't nothing wrong with letting anger pass through us, certain madness pass through us. But again, not staying in that mode. Because say, for instance, the little tactics of these little Satanist CIA agents to where, again, how I said earlier, well, like, girl, like, fuck them, but not to the place of me, deterring my energy and falling into a place where I'm blinded and not realizing, hey, that's contrast in my experience, you know what I'm saying? But, of course, a little anger or madness in a little moment of, like, like, all right, you know what I'm saying? But we not dwelling in that energy, you know what I'm saying? You're not staying in that place, because they want you to stay in that place of being mad. So now, as much as you are aware of what they've done, but now you're in a place of being angry and mad all the time. So now your energy is dwelling. So now, if you was to transition right now, your heart, wouldn't your heart gonna weigh heavier than that feather, and you ain't gonna go through the, you ain't leaving out of the Saturn Moon matrix with you, with, holding on to some anger and madness of a situation that's really was an experience that, you called to yourself, to grow from. Again, it's a balance in that situation. So again, they trying to get you also to a place where you know, bringing your energy down. You know, you don't, you want to definitely maintain, your connection within the source, because again, we like walking Wi-Fi. We just help people just by passing their energetic field, and that's a fact. Again, and as I say, that's a fact. Not to say, and y'all don't go look for facts anywhere else, but just take what I said. No, again, because right now it's very important for you to not just, like, again, like, take what resonate with you, leave what don't. You know what I'm saying? I'm not asking you to like, believe everything I say. Like, not coming like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that vibe. But again, just being aware of these different vibes, opposition by default, them bringing up old topics like the moon landing, flat earth, trying to revamp that, them using little nicknames like the VSD, the virtual sandbox data, other word for internet, and again, like, knowing how to using the magic and knowing of it, because they not using the word internet, because they know, like, they done, it got, like, it's, like I said, the word been tampered with, the energy, you know. Also being familiar with the piping situation. Again, not jumping on, all these stories as quick as they come out, because again, when we in conspiracy theorist mode, like, so say, for instance, one of the ones I think of that, where I wasn't heavy, like, well, again, spirit be keeping me from falling deep into these vibes and these tactics, but like, well, I remember when I came across the post, how some people posted about, like, where the in which, again, because Bobby Hemmett spoke on that, like, them eating pineal glands. But then with that, they had a post where they're showing where a bunch of them had, like, black eyes, because that was a symptom from eating that pineal gland. And when I saw that, though, I'm like, my heart, something told me, like, all right, this has some truth to it. But it's like, but don't just run with this information and, just start like, oh, yeah, you see? You know what I'm saying? Because, again, that's almost, again, that opposition by default. Like, oh, shit, so it got to be what's happening. Like, nah, got to check and see little evidence, But it is, when you go deep into the information about Skull and Bones and, because they spoke about Bush and his son, you know, pineal, eating them pineal glands. You know, that's matter of fact, Skull and Bones is matter of fact, Skull and Bones so deep in they little vibes to where they almost like a how can I say, like a lodge that's like a rebel lodge in essence to a certain extent, because it is extension of Freemasonry, you know. But as a matter of fact, Skull and Bones I think have the skull of Geronimo, the ancient Indian, you know. But that's the games they be playing with the indigenous energy too, you know. But again, like when I came across that information, I just wasn't quick to like, all right, it's like, you know, pump your brakes. But some did tell me like there's some truth to it, but it's like, hey, you know, the little pictures of them with their black eyes could be photoshopped, you know what I'm saying? Like I would like to go and see like pictures like where you could tell, you know, and coming from certain sources where, you know, or like the news showing it and admitting like, all right, hey, like it was a video showing like, oh yeah, and look, he got a black eye, you know, and they're acknowledging like, all right, so it, you know, this video is acknowledging it, you know, within the real time of the video. So maybe it's something to go look at. But again, you know, being aware of all these different tactics, you know, and also suppressing the sacred masculine, see that, and then again allowing everything to happen, you know, just you know, go with the flow of things, you know, stick your head again with your head in the sand, you know, you got to be on your knees, you got to be kneeling down, and you got to have your ass in the air to put your head in the sand. So that's the position, you know, we putting ourselves in when we put our heads in the sand, you know. But that's basically it, y'all. Just wanted to share those certain little aspects, you know, again correlating to the dystopia videos, my video, you know, on the silent war. Matter of fact, please, my video on the Truman Show, which broke down into 2 parts, you know, talking about the silent weapons and silent warfare, where I start off with information, you know, speaking from the Bilderberg and Rockefellers, like, you know, again, how they was going to start this silent warfare, you know what I'm saying? Now, of course, you know, again, this doesn't mean to, like, oh, yeah, automatically, because, again, the book I got it from, you know, when again, so speaking of piping information, before I go, that's why I was led to this, you know, these whistleblowers, you know, because that's another thing, too, where, you know, there's no such thing as leaked information or whistleblowers. Like, I'll put it like this. When they're promoted by the media, there's no such thing. Now, if you come across somebody that, like, where you could feel their energy and stuff, matter of fact, like my brethren who came across this person who presented this information to him, you know, like on that level, like, well, personally, like, was like somebody that really, you know, working ain't really liking their job or this and that, and you could feel the energy of them wanting to share some things. But other than that, there's no real leaks or, you know, like, again, disinformation gonna have truth with it, you know. But because matter of fact, I got this from a book done with a brethren, William Cooper, Bill Cooper is his name. It was in his book. So again, you know, of course, you know, like, there's gonna have some truths in his book, but again, you know, if he whistleblowing on that level and kind of like allowing to have book signings and stuff like that, but these you talking about, we dealing with the people that don't, again, that made sure Tupac died on Las Vegas Strip, and with I don't know how many witnesses, and nobody find out the killer. Like, you know, like, that's how they coming. You know, JFK, you know, Abraham Lincoln. You know what I'm saying? Like, they continuously show you that when somebody really talking some shit, they ain't letting them, you know, they ain't letting them make it. Michael Jackson, Johnny Cochran, Prince, Gail Scott Heron, the list goes on, you know what I'm saying? Compared to, like, what these whistleblowers and this and stuff. Like, how in the fuck a whistle, you know, they expose, like, here it is, well, again, we talking about Prince, Tupac, these people that ain't even work for the government and exposing things from an external vibe, but yet they gonna let somebody coming from inside their operation to go external and like, oh yeah, they was doing this and we were doing that, yeah, and I'm about to go sign books. You catch me at Barnes and Nobles this Sunday. Signing my book about how I'm talking about how the government, you know, and again, it's gonna have certain little truths in it. But we just gotta be aware. Again, that's why back to where I started this video at, how again, some of us are more clairvoyant than others, and we, you know, of course we wanna look at logical evidence, but again, a lot of us have a certain level of clairvoyant and psychic abilities for a reason. That book knowledge stuff for me comes off more so like, so from my perspective as somebody that's, you know, sensitive to energy and you know, having clairvoyance, you know, that logical stuff in book paperwork almost be for my videos, just to be able to say, hey y'all, reference, you know, check this book out, you know what I'm saying? Like, and also too, like with psychic abilities, you know, a lot of logical book information be confirmation on the intuitive insight we done already got, you know what I'm saying? But again, you know, it's a balance, but we all different on that level. So, you know, being aware to not completely knock you. Like if you're extremely clairvoyant and psychic, you know, then, you know, don't forcefully put yourself through, you know, like basically like second guessing your intuition in an unhealthy manner. Like, of course you want to like check it, like, all right, you know, like spirit, like take that deep breath, like spirit, you sure? You know, like this what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, but you're not trying to like logically pluck away your insight, because that's what happened. And again, like on a psychic level, that, you know, again, clairvoyant psychic 101, you know, the first little vibe that we kind of catch on the subject, you know, is usually, you know, that right vibe, you know, that accurate that accurate vibration of information, you know. So it's like going with that flow before that logical side comes in and starts to like deter you from your insight, in essence. But again, with being clairvoyant and psychic and sharing information, you know, again, you want to, you know, peddle the information in such a way where you kind of still correlating it with book knowledge in some way, form, or fashion, you know, but not neglecting our abilities or deterring our abilities either, you know, because again, we're going to be, you know, certain people speaking out on these certain situations, you know, may not be clairvoyant to say, you know, again, like that's why they like speaking from a place of like books, logic, and which again, we all do this, you know, and I spoke to that in the video where we like, you know, well, some of us that's less clairvoyant, we going like logic, book, and then kind of catch themselves and be like, you know, and I'm not saying that you don't use your intuition and this and that, you know, or just like with me, like when I'm like, hey, don't forget about intuition, don't forget about, you know, you got this inner clairvoyance vibe, but at the same time, don't forget about your, you know, your logical side as well, you know, because it is that integration and that balance, you know. Like the brethren brought up intelligence. The word breaks down to like, you know, it was like the intellect meaning logic, you know, and the what it was, the word that started with G, but meaning like dealing more so with the right brain, you know, and the artistic vibe of things, you know, and fully making the word intelligence, you know. So intelligence is not just logic, it's not just intuition, you know, it's both of them coming together. You know, it's like we have these insights, and then we could put evidence together logically. And again, also like where now we want our logic in support of our intuition, you know, because when logic, you know, it's like trying to tear down your intuition, and intuition is coming from spirit. So, you know, like there's no straight source other than, you know, speaking with higher self and inner source, you know what I'm saying? And the whole vibe with that though is, again, and go check out my video, how, I forgot how it's worded, but on like how to realize you're talking to spirit guides and recognizing like the voice of higher self. But I got some videos about that, you know, because that's another thing too. Some people, again, that's why I speak on the importance of, you know, the meditation, the clearing the mind. Again, not meditating to be all the way in the right brain, meditating enough to clear the mind and connect with the intuition strongly enough to where, we have a high, a strong connection to higher self, and a lot of clarity with our intuition now, where, it's understood strongly that this not my ego trying to act like my intuition, because there is that vibe, especially us that's early on our growth, where, most of our lives was being run by egoic mind, just like, you know what I'm saying? So, again, quietening that and then connecting with that intuition. But again, very important to have that, if you are, somebody very sensitive to energies, quote unquote empath, and, clairvoyant, you definitely want to, not discredit your energies, or your strengths in those areas, but at the same time, not letting it blind you and not being one-sided about it. But again, when you're dealing with your logic, the healthy logic, like, so say for instance, again, like when we're in a vibration where where it's not that hindering egoic mind, where logic could be helpful, but then in a lot of cases our logic be coming from our egoic mind. In some cases of, like, and again, it's to each his own, because that's how I see it in my experience. It's like that the ego of the logic sometimes is tearing down, and again, but from I'm saying from my experience, but again, that's why they got the saying, go with your first mind, like, because in most cases, like, spirit already told us, but then we go to, like say for instance, like, I tell stories about, like, what spirit told me to go buy these shoes or go do this, take care of yourself or treat yourself or do this right here. Then the negative egoic mind logic come in, but what about this? And again, though, not throwing out that, we do use that egoic mind. We do have that, want to have that balance, but not letting the logic deter, that inner insight. But that's basically it. Got the tactics, so, we're aware of these things, and we know what's going on around us, you know what I'm saying? So we know when we come across somebody like, oh yeah, man, I'm a light worker, this and that and that, but then they talking and doing things that bring you into the past, or trying to dip too far in the future, or, they seem like they're trying to program your subconscious to believe in what they believe in and stuff like that. Then they may not be the light worker that they claim to be, smiling and all that, you know what I'm saying? So just give us a little awareness of what's going on around us, Because again, that's what the lesson I had to learn, matter of fact, shout out to my brethren, out there, it is, very different in LA. But again, we gotta shine that conscious light, Again, y'all, matter of fact, my LA people, you know what I'm saying, man, share some of these videos where I speak on this Abbot Kinney, Venice Beach area, and like, we need to expand these videos. People need to be aware of what's going on in their city, like us country folks, in our Opelousas, where we know who coming in and out of our cities, Not that we own these cities. This world is not our home anyway, but while we passing through, we got to make sure we, now the vibrate. What's going on right now? Peace. Have it now. Now the vibrate, of course. Not going too far in the future. Not going too far in the past. Right now. Peace, peace.